Hi guys, and welcome to Gas City Gaming's overview of Warhammer 40k 8th edition that's coming out here hopefully pretty soon. In this video we'll be taking a look at the morale checks that we'll be taking at the end of every player turn, if you lost some guys, and a little bit at the fluff that they spoiled today as well. And maybe after that going a little bit into maybe some theories about what might be going on. So it might be a little bit longer of a video because we're going to get a little bit of exposition and theories and rumors kind of going around at the end. I know I didn't want to be about that at all, but about that primarily. I don't want to be about rumors, but you know, we got a little bit of fluff today, and it's always fun to think about, okay, what are they thinking, what might happen when we get some of the fluff spoiled for us. If you're not as familiar with Warhammer 40k, fluff is a term for the story behind the game that goes on that we like to think about. So first things first, we'll talk about the morale phase. Morale sub-phase check thing, whatever we'll get to here. So any units that suffered one or more casualties in a player turn must take a morale test at the end of it. So if you suffered casualties with a unit on your turn, and you made my unit suffer casualties, those units would both take morale tests at the end of your turn. At the end of each player's turn, not at the end of a game turn. It's important to note. To do that, you roll a d6, add the number of models lost from the unit to the result of your d6. If a number is more than your leadership stat on that unit, you lose the difference in models. So we went over this in a video before, just as an example though. My unit contains 10 models. Alright, I lost 4, their leadership is 8. I roll a d6. I get a 6. So my roll of a d6, added to the number of models I've lost, so 6 plus 4 is 10, subtract their leadership of 8, I lose an additional 2. So I started with 10 guys, lost 4, so down to 6, but because of my leadership test, lost another 2, down to 4 remaining. Hopefully the unit I was fighting against loses some more as well. But if, for example, same situation, start with a unit of 10 guys, I lose 4, I roll a d6 and get a 3. I add that 3, it's a result of my d6, onto the 4 guys I lost, 7, my leadership is 8, it's not higher than my leadership, my guys all stick around. I don't have to lose any more. As far as how this is going to play with They Shall Know No Fear, I don't know. They haven't revealed that yet. Maybe it'll be a modifier to the test like we'll see in a second here. There is no more falling back. If you roll higher than your morale, you just lose additional models. There's no more regrouping because there's no more falling back, so you don't have to worry about regrouping if there's falling back. No more sweeping advances, by rolling poorly for your morale and losing a whole unit out of nowhere, right? As a Necron player, I enjoy that. As I'm sure a lot of people will. Single model units, therefore, won't take tests because they're a unit of 1. They have no other models to lose. So for those of you who may be thinking like, well, if everything can take these leadership tests with wounds lost, well, it's not with wounds lost, it's with models lost. So we have Reboot Guliman, who has lost. He has, I think we saw 9 wounds, 8 or 9 wounds. So if he loses 4 wounds, he's fine. Because he hasn't lost any models in his unit, he sticks around still. There will be things that influence leadership, like I said. Your Chaos Dark Apostle, for instance, was one that they spoiled. They will allow nearby allies to use his leadership for their leadership tests. So, if you have a unit of cultists there, leadership 5 or 6, you can have a Dark Apostle stand by, and who knows, leadership 8 or 9. They can use his leadership for their tests instead. Definitely handy to take them. A Hemlock Wraith Fighter, which I believe is a Dark Eldar aircraft, gives enemy units within 12 inches of it -1 leadership. So when you roll your leadership, it's just like you lost another unit. Could result in losing another unit from your morale test as well. Now, the thing they didn't mention was if there's going to be any kind of weapons that cause morale tests, like or fear or pinning or anything like that. They didn't mention. So we have yet to see whether or not that's going to make a comeback as well. So now we're going to get a little bit into that. We have the rules for this video taken care of. We're going to get a little bit into the fluff they talked about. Now, if you've seen before the picture, the Great Rift, it's essentially the galaxy map with a big crack running across it. So if you've seen that, it's really damning evidence that something's going wrong in the galaxy right now. There's a big crack across it, like essentially a big warp rift going across the whole galaxy with some real dark concentrated spots towards the center of the galaxy. Now, I'm going to read the fluff from Games Workshop website verbatim, and then we'll kind of talk about it afterwards. Alright, here we go. The Great Rift is a tear in reality that essentially divides the Imperium in half. Its emergence was a literal galaxy-shattering event which threw the Imperium into chaos and ushered in new wars across nearly every world in the Imperium. So powerful and far was this storm that the very laws of physics fray at the edges as the inconsistencies of time fluctuations, once largely localized to larger storms such as the Eye of Terror, spread across the galaxy. Some worlds felt centuries go by in an instant, while others were all but frozen in time, and still others have suffered constant temporal shifts. None fully understand the origins of the rift, though there are many theories. The breach of the Cadian Gate, the sorcery of a demon Primarch, catastrophe in the Webway, mass bloodshed and fire in the Damocles Gulf, all may have caused or contributed to it. The rift is variously known by the cultures of the galaxy as the Crimson Path, the Mouth of Ruin, the Warp Scar, the Dathodian, Gork's Grin, and 1,000 other names besides. To the Imperium, it is a Cicatrix Maledictum, or just the Great Rift. To those on the Terran side, it is a tainted scar across the sky. To those unfortunates on the far side, it is far worse. Rabute Guilliman, Lord Commander of the Imperium's armies, looks out over the ruins of his father's empire and sets about its reconquest in a crusade to liberate those worlds embattled by the forces of chaos and free those beset by Xenos predators closing in on the weakened worlds of mankind. Alright, so if you've played Warhammer Fantasy, you're familiar with the end times and how that was, well, the end times for Warhammer. This is starting to sound a lot like that. Like, I've been involved in the tabletop game of Warhammer for only a couple of years now. 3 years, I guess, getting closer to. And maybe even 4. Anyway. And the story, just in these last year and a bit, has progressed huge compared to what it did before that. Like, I kind of kept track of what the story was beforehand. I always liked the universe ever since the first Dawn of War video game came out. I've kind of kept track of the universe and always liked the lore and stuff behind things, but it seems like the story has really progressed in the last year and a bit. So maybe they are moving towards some kind of end time thing. I don't know about that. If you've watched the trailer that came out as well, that GW put out for the Indomitus Crusade, is the name of the crusade that Rabute Guilliman has launched. And if you have a problem with my pronunciation of Guilliman, I'm just taking it from the trailer that they put out about the Indomitus Crusade. He pronounces his own name, so I'm gonna trust his pronunciation. Now, in this video, Guilliman himself mentions that he and the Archmagos of the Mechanicus have blended, this is right from the video, have blended the Emperor's vision with the Mechanicus visions as well. So, are we going to have kind of cyborgs? It's like, Space Marines in and of themselves did have implants and different things among them. They definitely weren't human. They looked like a person, but their rib cages were fused into one solid sheet of bone that was way thicker. The black carapace that hooked into their power armor was implanted, all kinds of others, ocular, they had an extra heart, an extra lung, can breathe underwater, spit acid, all kinds of things depending on the legion. But really never had a full mechanical implants like you would picture a cyborg, like DC's Cyborg picture in your head from the Justice League, for example. They didn't look anything like that. So, but if we're blending Mechanicus and the Emperor's vision, aka Space Marines, what are they going to look like now? So, Guilliman also mentioned that he bred new warriors beyond the capabilities of their brethren. So, does this mean from what I take this mean is new Space Marines, better Space Marines? Whether that translates onto the tabletop in just larger models, or models with better ballistic skill, weapon skill, strength, toughness, whatever. Is it going to be just a newer size of model? Is it going to be Space Marines with a stat line of a Terminator? Like, what's it going to be? So I'm excited to see that. They also mentioned that they'll have new weapons befitting their, masterfulness over the other Space Marines. So they're going to be bigger, stronger, better new weapons. They also mentioned lost chapters being reborn and broken chapters being rebuilt. So my Space Marines that I have, it was almost a lost chapter. In their most recent codex, they decided, they did bring back, they came back, it's okay. The Black Consuls is the chapter that I follow. Yes, I know it's an Ultramarine successor, but still, I just like their fluff. They almost died and then came back, so I decided to go with those guys. But really interesting, so are these lost chapters, like the Astral Knights, are they going to come back? Spoiler alert if you haven't read that book. Are they going to come back? Are they going to be a whole new chapter of these new Space Marines? Or how are they going to work that in with these new chapters being revealed? We don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go with that, how it translates from fluff-wise onto tabletop. And, you know, the Space Marines are kind of sacred. You're saving their, if you're not as familiar with 40k, when a Space Marine dies, they try and take his gene seed. It's kind of, from what I understand, forgive me if I get this wrong, please comment in the comments below if I get this wrong. I'm not an expert on the fluff by any means, but what a gene seed is kind of like their DNA that's in their bodies. It's a little bag that they can kind of clone a whole new Space Marine out of, or regrow under, sorry, implant it in another initiate, their gene seed, and that's what kind of helps grow them into an actual Space Marine. Because a Space Marine is probably, compared to you or me, I'm just shy of 6 feet. They're probably 8 feet tall on the shorter side for a Space Marine, up to 12 feet tall on the taller side for a Space Marine, with Primarchs, most Primarchs, mind you, standing far above that. So these new Space Marines, how big are they going to be? And also, are people, maybe other Space Marines, more traditional Space Marine chapters, like Iron Fists, things like that, are they going to see these as, you know, you're kind of messing around with who we are, with what we are, what's going to go on there? Are they going to have a problem with that, or is everyone going to see these new chapters or new Space Marines as only good things? Is there going to be a mini split in there with a chapter or two having an issue with this, but kind of like, no, I guess you're right, we have to do something? Because again, if you watch the trailer, Gilliman points out how, you know, we've just been surviving. You know, my father's empire is just surviving. It's not expanding, it's not thriving, it's just barely getting by because there's all these threats and we're just holding them at bay. We're just holding them back. We're not really succeeding in the way we want to. So it'll be interesting to see how they have that going forward as well. I'm excited, like I said, to have everything moving forward. The games, to me, have been fun ever since I started playing. The lore has always been good for me. I like, you know, the gothicness mixed with the science fiction aspects of it. Those are kind of my two favorite things. And the gothic, medieval, almost medieval world mixed with the science fiction of Space Marines has always been one of my favorite things. And in 40k, they had a baby. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. I love this. So what I'm really excited to see is that they're moving forward with this. I don't want to see them move forward so fast that it doesn't make sense fluff-wise. Like, you've had this for 20 plus years, and it's moved forward somewhat, but it seems like it's taking leaps and bounds compared to what it was. Anyway, since I've been keeping track of things anyway, I haven't been around forever for sure, not going to say that. But it seems like it's really moving quickly compared to what it used to. But that being said, I also just don't want it to be stagnant. I don't want to play in a stagnant world where things are going on. The current pace is maybe moving a little quickly for me, but now that Gilliman is going to create these new Space Marines, lead a new crusade, maybe he's kind of counter-punching. Maybe there'll be some pushback against the Tyranids, for example, the Necrons, Chaos being the new big bad. So hopefully we see a little bit of difference as far as that goes. Just getting some more story out there. The quote-unquote good guys winning. I'm not even going to get into that debate here. You can talk amongst yourselves in the comments about them being good guys. But I'm really excited. Like I've said at the end of almost every video here, guys, I'm really excited to see where they go with this, both fluff-wise and game-wise. So if you've enjoyed, there's the man himself. If you've enjoyed these videos, please like, share, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. If you like the videos, let me hear it. I love to hear the positive comments. If you don't like the videos, let me know how I can do better. Always interested to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget, you can follow down that way at twitch.tv/Dave865 or on Twitter at Dave2679. You can also subscribe, like, share, comment. I've had a few comments, people saying, oh, you deserve more views, you deserve more subscriptions. You know how those happen? If you like, share, and subscribe, those happen. Like, the more you do that, the better I show up in, like, search results and things like that. So you guys can definitely help me out. I would appreciate any little thing you guys can do. Click that like button, click the share button, share it on Facebook, click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Really appreciate every view I get as this channel gets going further and closer to the 8th edition release. I'm hoping close to the 8th edition release, depending on views and stuff that I get, to do some giveaways as well. So if you guys help me out, we can get some stuff given away to some of you guys out there, guys and gals. So I hope you guys had an awesome time with me here today. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good rest of your day, and remember, the Emperor protects.